Hello, welcome to Music Reviews, where I review music, because, no shit. Right, so, let us start off with a bunch of albums I re-reviewed and just missed completely. Starting off with Underscores, with Wall Socket, and why only now do I need a piss? Give me 2 minutes. Or like 5 seconds for you, obviously. I need 2 minutes in real time. I know I'm going to piss myself off in a bit. Okay, I'm back. Underscores, with Wall Sockets. This album is honestly kind of a godsend conceptually. Basically, it's the tale of a fictional town in Michigan. I don't know why it's in Michigan, it just is. Called Woolsocket, which is where the title of the album comes from. No shit. And I think it's like based off a girl or a group of girls just navigating life and all the trials and tribulations and all that. And it has a really intriguing and kind of sadly realistic concept for many across the globe and a tough time for people such as the LGBT. The themes being around the queer, because Underscores is queer, so, like, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty eclectic. Some songs are just like bops, and then some are just like sad, really sad. And some are both. Johnny, 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 fun as fuck, until you realise it's about groove and that it's not fun no more. What a fucking song, by the way. And there are also songs that are straight up in your face depressing instrumentally lyrically, such as You Don't Even Know Who I Am, or something like Uncanny Long Arms. I think that's the one with Jane Remover. If it's not, the other one that actually does have Jane Remover is Fire. So, yeah. Jane Remover, cool. And I also just want to mention how incredible Jeez Louise is with that crescendo at the end, especially. So, yeah. Possibly pop album of the decade so far here. It's just ridiculous conceptually and musically, and absolutely phenomenal. 9.8 out of 10 is great. Next up, we've got Anoni and the Johnsons with My Back Was a Bridge for You to Cross, which is no joke. It plays on those emotions. Oh. This thing is hugely impactful emotionally in terms of its subject matters, ranging from the destruction of the planet and having to suffer seeing it, Why Am I Alive being the song that shows that, being allowed to occur, to the desperation for change in both small, more personal ways and larger, more general ways. It Must Change, and man, it is done so well. Even the album cover featuring Marsha P. Johnson, part of the Stonewall Riots / uprising / whatever you call it, which is actually what the Johnsons are named after. So yeah, with it's all very poetic. Everything goes into a theme of like the actual pace and writing the stuff. It's amazing. It's so well thought out. The lyricism is poetic yet easy to grasp and so well done, and the vocals, while in the more acoustic tracks slightly overbearing, were mostly solid, and in Scapegoat, straight up stunning and befitting of the crescendo so goddamn well. Instrumentally, it was at its best beautiful, and very often at its best, but at its worst slightly basic. Not mid-basic, but like basic nonetheless, so probably the worst part of the album, but yeah. Overall, this thing was expected to be great, and it was. Even the interlude fit the album so well conceptually. It is overall a great tale. The whole album here of the melancholy being a 51-year-old powerless transgender woman in the shit, basically, brings. Fantastic album, 9 out of 10. Moving on to a huge drop in quality to King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard with Petrodragonic Apocalypse, then they just yap for another 20 seconds. Defo overrated this a fuck ton. I don't know whether I thought the instrumentals were more novel than they actually were, or that the song lengths made the album more impressive, even though King Giz have just always done it, so it's not that impressive for them to do it again. So, yeah. To start off, the vocals, at times, were pretty overbearing and annoying, especially on a former favourite, Motor Spirit, which is not one of the best songs on the album. The thing is also about an apocalypse, and that is corny enough as a concept to make the album more annoying than it would have been, especially with the lyricism, while having the potential to be worse, obviously, because it wasn't like too bad. But yeah, still annoying though, especially on Witchcraft, which is such an annoying dud, and the end of the album, that being Flamethrower, which was also pretty underwhelming. Musically though, it was pretty cool. Nothing special, but fucking hell. But like, it did its job well, basically. So, yeah. Overall, this thing does have high highs, such as the amazing track Dragon, both conceptually and song-wise, but also a lot of songs in those fields that are just okay, and the concept itself isn't the best. I'm not going to act like it is, but it is a good album. But nowhere near as good as I remembered. 7.2 out of 10. Next up, Sign Crusher's Motorist with Hinting. Little note I can really say about this one. It's just duster but boring and dull a lot of the time. But still kinda solid because duster are fucking amazing. Like, Further's boring as shit, but I can't call it mid or anything because the chord progression is pretty solid. And that's the story for most of the album. It's really bad necessarily, but like, it's not great, it just exists. And then you have tracks like Amer, which are amazing, dotted around the album, that propel the album score a fuck ton. So yeah, overall, it's a good listen, sure. Nothing's particularly memorable, there are duds, but like, it's good for what it is. 7 out of 10. Hell Mode by Jeff Rosenstock is next. And again, little worthier notes to talk about. There are some really cool songs, yeah, that have nice progressions such as Three Summers and Graveyard Song. But that aside, this thing is the definition of absolutely nothing special. There is nothing novel, nothing interesting, and nothing, well, at all of note, apart from that it's pop punk, and Jeff's Rosenstock's vocals at times are pretty grating on this thing. So, yeah. Tracks such as Head and Life Admin are insanely boring and uninteresting duds, and overall, in any way, this thing just doesn't do anything that keeps me concentrated. It's cool to see Jeff play with his voice in some tracks, but that aside, and like one or two really good highlights, it's just a solid album. Not decent 9 level or anything, 6.8 out of 10, it's overrated. Next up is an album I personally overrated, but no one else did. The National with First 2 Pages of Frankenstein, which, what an album title, by the way, that is cold as shit. Second off, though, this thing's boring as fuck. With Laugh Track, it just sort of exists without doing anything. The vocals are garbage here and there, but this thing, it does have higher highs, but mostly it just does the same things. Although it does have better production just throughout. It isn't great as much as Laugh Track, but it is for sure. Maybe even more boring. I could barely remember Greasing Your Hair, and I could barely remember it like literally after the song went. But aside from the Phoebe Bridgers track on Laugh Track, it doesn't even compare to some of the highs on this thing. Eucalyptus and the Old Car are better than every single song on that, apart from the Phoebe Bridgers one on that one. That song is incredible. So, yeah. Taylor Swift was amazing on the Old Car as well. That aside, there were maybe one or two others. This thing does cool stuff, but it's just super dreary and boring. But decent enough. So, hey, 6.3 out of 10. Next up, we have Mike Dean with 423, whatever the fuck. Could have been cool if Mike Dean wanted it to be, but instead of being a synth god, he just dicks around with them without doing anything at all. Basically, just makes a bunch of amateur loops that sound straight out of GarageBand, because the synths sound cool, for a whole album. It's kind of like the worst of like that Zell guy stuff, in a way. But even most of his shit's better than this. The Weeknd couldn't even do anything worth mentioning. It was often barely hearable over those fucking synths. They're so annoying. We get it. Yeah. Sure, Rewind Life and a few others were cool, and not many truly struck me as awful aside from the annoying opener Once Upon a Time, and Close Out Electric Sheep, which was literally static noise, like Taylor Swift in Canada. Saying a lot about Taylor Swift, I wonder fucking why. Overall, though, this was just boring, and had its awful moments, and you can just tell the lack of effort and lazily put togetherness of this thing. 4.6 out of 10. And at the bottom of the re-listens / first listens is Ashnikko with Weed Killer. There were some cool ideas and nice beats, but the concept is very not well done, and Ashnikko's vocals aren't very good. There are also songs that just don't even have good ideas and just straight up awful, such as Possession of a Weapon. Williams is where the concept affects the lyrics the most, and that song's probably the most corny on a very corny album. And in the end, Ethel Cain on Close of Dying Star has to carry the album, as that song is good, and it's got a really good structure to it. That aside, though, sure, Weed Killer has a cool beat, I guess, but very few songs really intrigue me for the better at all, aside from that and Dying Star. So, yeah, this thing isn't very good. It's pretty bad. Not a great showing of potential, I cannot lie. 2.6 out of 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 albums. Well, 7 albums and 1 EP or something like that. 6 and 2. I don't know. But, yeah. 8 projects. 1 or 2 released in midweek. But, This one didn't. Wish it never released at all. Blink-182 with One More Time. I've always hated Blink-182, and I still do. This album is basic, mixed utterly horrendously, and vocally just plain awful, as much as I do respect the vocalist's efforts, considering the hard times with the cancer diagnosis and shit. So, hey. But, personal taste thing, I don't like his vocals just at all. I never have, I never will. One of those things, so... The album is also just grating on the ears in my eyes, and I don't like how it's mixed at all. It's also just really corny and plain horrendous at times. Edging and Turpentine are two of the worst songs that I've heard in a long while. And Edging is one of the worst singles in all of last year. Yay! And why did Cole Bennett produce the music video? Anyway, there's honestly not one song I consider above average, the other track being the Still Insanely Annoying More Than You Know. And not one song I consider not annoying, so yeah. This thing is not for me at all. The vocals and mixing made the album so annoying to me, and the lyricism just pushed it over the edge. I respect the album for existing, but to me, I just don't like it. I've never liked Blink. I never will. Not my area, unfortunately. But hey, I can say that for sure. 1.1 out of 10. The Chainsmokers up next was Summertime Friends, which was super disappointing. Not because of the actual quality of it, because the Chainsmokers suck ass, they always have, so there's no big surprise that this sucks ass. But it's just how lazily it's been put together, and the fact that 7 out of 8 songs were already out. Not that I've heard them, but they're already out. And what's even funny is that no one gave a fuck and knew this was dropping, which is really funny. And this is just such lazy, bottom of the barrel stuff. But, coming from the Chainsmokers, who are absolute dog shit, no real surprise. Musically, I guess there's a guilty pleasure or two. See You Again was kind of a banger and had a cool instrumental, and Blood Nymph had a great vocal performance on Self-Destruction Mode, but that aside, it was basic, bland, and kind of awful, especially on opening track Summertime Friends, which I know that was released as a single because I saw it. Never listened, though. Glad I didn't. The vocals were intolerable and super hard to listen to, and yeah, this sucked. But what pissed me off is how lazy of a cash grab that was. So it's great to see it flop. Yay, fuck you, Chainsmokers. Garbage, 2.2 out of 10. Know who else is garbage? Little Darky. And he dropped on Monday for some reason with The Future is Dark. Out of nowhere, this guy dropped this album, but talent wasn't exactly flying out of this thing. Sure, his sound is semi-interesting, I'm not going to act like it's not, and yeah, Cold Outside slapped, but the new ideas here became pretty redundant pretty quickly, and some of them are straight up bland and bad to begin with. I'm not going to act like American Slave or Air to Michael were cool, as they were different to the more edgy shit that he's always been known for, and Humans and Monsters. You work in a 9 to 5, your life is ass. Shut the fuck up. But yeah, they were still ass. Also, personal taste thing, his voice sucks, and it's so annoying and hard to listen to, but can't control that. So, yeah. Overall, the thing has good moments and cool ideas, but the usual trash from Darky is present, and many of the ideas weren't anything too special and got old quickly. This thing was not good, even if I can respect part of it. 2.6 out of 10. Next up is City Girls with Raw, which stands for Real Ass Whores, which says a lot about the album, lyrically. As for music, this thing is basic, but relatively inoffensive. But yeah, there are very few highlights apart from Fancy Ass Bitch. What I want to focus on is the awful mixing. For whatever reason, the vocals sounded really annoying and often were just too quiet, and it got more continuously grating as the album went on, especially on Closer from the D to the A. It's just, argh! As for the features, they existed. I can only remember Lil Durk slightly, and I remember it being pretty mid. Yeah, only Usher rubbed me the wrong way, as his vocals just felt off on track Good Love. Even Kim Petras wasn't necessarily bad and flashy, and you know how much I don't like her as an artist or a person. But, it was more just everything else. She wasn't great, but everything else was so awful that she kind of stood out and carried the song. And on the topic of songs, speaking of topics of songs, which I mentioned 20 seconds ago, Wix sucks. Topically and obviously in every other way, because it's a terrible song. And it has the flaws that I mentioned prior. So, yeah. This album sucks to absolutely no one's surprise, and the mixing was plain awful. However, this is the most offensive thing I've ever heard. It's just bad rather than horrendous and kind of obnoxious more than dog shit. 3.2 out of 10. Moving on to Young Scooter with Streets Crazy. The quality goes up, trust me. This thing came and went, but left some good tracks. It was never bad, but it was pretty basic throughout. And thankfully, due to its short length, the good outweighs the bad that's there. Not gonna act like Free Spider wasn't poorly produced and wasn't a poor opener, but I'm not gonna act like Young Scooter doesn't have a unique voice and unique delivery in general in the trap game, and that songs such as Touchdown didn't slap and didn't have amazing beats. Feature-wise, however, this thing looked relatively large and bombastic, but fell pretty flat. And surprisingly, the only feature that I could really remember was SG, and also for positive reasons. You know, I don't like SG because I just think he sucks. But here, he kind of slid. Honestly, he had the best performance I've seen him have on Track Come Meet With Us, which was one of the highlights on the album. So yeah. Overall, though, this thing had good tracks and fire beats, and Young Scooter does have potential to make some really good trap, but we only see fragments here. But it's a fun enough listen. It's a good album. And 6 out of 10. Next up is the Rolling Stones with Hackney Diamonds, the Old Head Weirdos, which is actually good. Honestly, people give dad rock a bad rep, but it's rarely ever torture. Sure, it's not great, and this is not great at times, with some boring duds such as All Wide World dotted around the album, but it's really awful. The Elton John collab Live by the Sword is awful, but that aside, nothing else is. And there's also the odd amazing tracks, such as Sweet Sounds of Heaven, which features Lady Gaga, which progress really well. And that one specifically ends fantastically. Definitely one of the more well-produced cuts on the album. There's also Dreamy Skies and closer Rolling Stone Blues, which had really mellow country and folk-esque instrumentals for some reason. Yeah, they were beautiful, and some of the best country/folk stuff from anyone this year. Generally, though, the album's basic. Vocally, it's far from perfect, but it's pretty great considering that Mick Jagger is as old as time itself. And aside from maybe one or two songs, Only Get Close comes to mind as featuring a poor vocal performance, but there's probably another I'm forgetting somewhere. But yeah, aside from them, they don't greatly at all, and overall, this is sort of dad rock, and it is sort of corny at points, but it is good for what it is, and actually a relatively fun listen. I'm feeling a 6.4 out of 10. Of course, the GOAT, Sampha, after 6 years, finally decided to drop an album titled La High, which is music in his field done right. The instrumentals were subdued but not boring. It contained a lot of elements that are really cool to look into. And Sampha's great vocals enhanced the song significantly. Songs such as Open as Stereo Colour Clouds, Shaman's Dream, which is definitely my favourite on the album, and playing phenomenal instrumentally in the way it progressed. The vocal effects on that outdid any on the James Blake album last year, from a month ago. The chorus on Suspended is also so damn good. It reminds me of FIFA, because I can imagine just losing 6-0 hearing, I've been lifted by the love. But I do absolutely have gripes with the album, so I'm going to go into them. First off, sometimes the pace in which it's sung didn't match the instrumental all that well, and there are some basic tracks that come and go, while still being great, such as 75% of Spirit 2.0. But that's about it. Consistently, it's just really great. While it's not often above and beyond that, it is enough for it to be a truly great album. And overall, maybe it wasn't worth a 6-year wait, but you can't complain with getting a great album. It's fire. 8.2 out of 10. At the top is the guy I just shot on 16 minutes ago, Zell with Pastel. So, yeah. This dropped literally, last night. So, it barely got in. This EP is really short and great from start to finish due to its short raw time. There was no time for it to have something that just sounded really... Frantic didn't at all. It's the best song, easily. Has such a good progression, has a straight up amazing sound, and honestly, it's a fantastic track, one of the best he's ever done. Whiplash is a really good play in his usual style, and it's really fire. And Dust Interlude, I don't see why it was there, but it was pretty cool. Pastel, the follow-up, was amazing, and I really like the instrumental, which is the whole song, so of course I like the instrumental. And Homecoming had some super clear flaws where the instrumental just fell apart, but everything else was amazing about it, so I can't complain all that much. Overall, to be collection, and yes, it's hardly high budget, but credit where credit's due. The beats are as good as he could do with his sound and his material, which is hardly blockbuster, and hey, you can make fire shit with cheap shit, and he did here. 8.4 out of 10. His best, yeah, that'll be the last time you see him this year. So, this week is a lot busier. Got some huge drops this week. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I'm listening to 12 of them. But first off, I'm going to shout out Babytron with Megatron 2, which features BLP Kosher, because of course it does, Drago and Benno, Stan Will, Lil Tyler, GT, Cash Kid, Certified Trapper, Soldier Boy. Oh, I'm glad I'm not listening to this. Y&J, Riff Raff, Babyface E, Lawson Nutty, Band Gang Javar, AK Bandamon, Glock Boys TJ, Crispy Life Kid, Nook, TRD, Fordio, J100, MJ Paid, Prince Jeff, Scrumbleman, and that's it. There's a lot of features. Some songs have like 5 or 6. 28 songs, 1 hour, 21 minutes long, with a sound as redundant as Babytron's. That just sounds like torture, so I just cannot be fucking arsed with it. I didn't like 6. Out on Bomb was cool, but that was because it was 4 tracks long, and this is his 4th project of the year, if any of you wanted to know that. So if you want to listen to that, then it exists, so yeah. Also not listening to Duran Duran's Dance Macabre, as cool as that fucking album title is. There's a fair few covers, such as Psycho Killer, obviously Talking Heads, Painted Black, The Rolling Stones, and Bury Your Friend, Billie Eilish. I don't really fancy an album that isn't fully original, especially when I've got another 12 albums to listen to, so sorry. So let's start off with the ones I am listening to. Taylor Swift. I mean, I've already listened to 3 of them, I'll be honest. Taylor Swift obviously dropped, because everyone knows this. 1989 Taylor's version. No features, even on the vault tracks. 21 songs, 1 hour 17 minutes. There's no Bad Blood featuring Kendrick, which is really sad. And it's basically like every single other Taylor Swift vault album, Taylor's version album. So, yeah. But it's stinky. 1989. King Gizzard of the Lizard Wizard, with only their 2nd project of the year, is The Silver Chord, and probably their last, with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 songs here, including extended mixes of all of them. So the whole album, with the OGs and extended versions, is 1 hour 57 minutes, but I'm obviously only going to listen to the originals, because, yeah, duh. I'm just going to predict it to be a 7 and move on to Poppy. Who's that really bizarre public figure who creeped me the fuck out as a kid. But, hey, I'm listening to Zig, so it's sort of full circle. No features, 11 songs, 30 minutes long. I am intrigued if her style is as unusual as... her style musically is as unusual as it is just as a person, I guess. But it will be like a 7 or something. There's respect to the style, by the way. It's interesting, at least. DJ Shadow, who made that one great record like 30 years ago, dropped Action Adventure, which has no features. 14 songs, 57 minutes long. Apparently it's not great. I'm going to say a 6. And if they're wrong, then fuck them. Brent Faiyaz I've also already listened to, with Larger Than Life, which features Lil Grey, Missy Elliott, Flea, Princess Crow, Coco Jones. I can't pronounce this one's name. A$AP Rocky, Tommy Richmond, Felix, A$AP Ant, Cruddy Murder, and Babyface Ray, as well as New York La N3YYRKLA. Is it like New York LA? I don't fucking know. But he's on the album. She's on the album. It is a she, actually. Why am I saying it? Anyway, 14 songs, 36 minutes long. She is a she. And this is a Brent Faiyaz album. I'm not a big fan of modern R&B. Will that change here? We'll find out next week. I've also already listened to Homicide Gang with the Fifth Amendment, which links back to Plead the Fifth and the charges that Benno's got of being a pedo. But the music hard, I can't control that. Problem Child 5 and Pierre Bourne are featured on this thing. 19 songs, 46 minutes long. Was this as enjoyable as Snot or Not, despite how much of a terrible person Benno is? Find out next week. James Blunt, who made that one hit song that no one seemed to like. And, yeah, with Who We Used to Be, which I presume to be 10 tracks and like 30-something minutes long, and to also be mid. 4. Maria the Scientist with To Be in Alive, featuring Vori, 21 Savage, Young Thug, and that's it. 10 songs, 27 minutes long, 6. But I'm glad it's short, just in case it is trash. Domogenesis with, what's his name? Grey Matter with What You Don't Get, which features Three-Way Slip and Remy Banks, as well as Fly Anakin and Nicole Buss. 14 songs, 28 minutes long, 7. Destin Conrad with Submissive, which features Jordan Ward and Masego. 9 songs, 22 minutes long, 6. Also, shout out Shorty, who has an album with Murder Beats, who has like the best producer tag in the game. Memory Lane 2, which features Baby B, Blackle Anna, Mozzie, and that's it. 15 songs, 40 minutes long. I just don't really feel like it, especially with the amount of albums dropping this week. So I think I'm down to 11. And I'm going to conclude with Rima's new EP, Ravage. 5 songs, 40 minutes long, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm listening to 11. Technically 8, because I've already listened to 3 of them. So, yeah. Thank you very much for watching. 26 minutes, that's not too bad. I was trying to do this a bit quicker than usual, but what can you do when you have so much you want to listen to? And the next one will probably be long as fuck, so... But we'll get to that when we get to that, and that'll be next week. Bye! I did an oopsie and forgot one. Malin Wood, former member of Brockhampton, with Amir Van, has dropped an album called Slam the Ice Machine, with one of the worst album covers of the year, by the way, which is 10 songs, 24 minutes long, really short, really sweet. It's going to be an 8. Bye! No features, if I haven't already said.